the town where the jazz is swinging high. It's the New Orleans Outsider with Chris Goff, my oh my. We may be outsiders, but our love for New Orleans is true. So come along as I share it all with you. Sights and sounds, food and drinks. We're here to take a ride with New Orleans Outsider as our guide.
And here are your hosts, Chris Goff, Peter Newkirch, and Justin Appleberry.
Well, we just got back from New Orleans Guys Trip 2025. Peter and I, our friend Travis, our friend Garrett, and we are here to talk about it, starting with our first restaurant, but we'll give you a little overview first. Welcome to NOLA Outsider. I am Chris, joined just by Peter today because Justin is taking care of some business. He's doing some chores tonight, so he's not going to, and he didn't go to the Guys Trip for whatever reason. I have no idea why he has chosen to not join us on the, the caravan down to New Orleans, but he did not. So it's just me and you, Peter.
Just us. Glad to be here as always. Yeah, great trip. Got lots to talk about, but I think we're just going to hit one big highlight tonight.
Yeah, we'll hit our first restaurant that we went to, but of course, like now we have, since we do this podcast, we enjoy racking up other things that we can talk about that we haven't hit yet because, and you're good at pushing new places and making us, expand our horizons when we go to New Orleans because we can get in somewhat of a rut. So we tried, I think you and I tried at least 2 new places as far as eating, and a couple old standards. We hit a museum. We went to Fritzl's. I know it's just shocking to everyone that listens, but we had a good time. As with every time I go down there, which is why I tell people only go there like 2-3 days because you'll leave wanting more. And I already would like to go back, but yes. What was your highlight of the trip?
Oh wow, there's so many. I mean, the New Orleans collection, that's the museum we went to. Great, never been there. Right there on Royal, right in the middle of everything. That was a real highlight on that side. I would say going the run that I've talked about before. I love going down on that run on the river. It was great as always, except for it was about 2,000% humidity, and I might as well have just gone for a swim. Not the highlight of the trip. It was great to see Errol. He was there every day. He is doing great for anyone who's keeping count. Looked great, sounded great, entertaining as always. Richard Scott, got to see him several times, which was a real treat at several different places. He's doing great also. So the big restaurant that we went to several, but we really the big one was Restaurant Revolution.
Yeah, Restaurant Revolution is the one we'll be talking about today, and that's it was and we'll set the table on that a little bit. But we got a tip from someone from Broussard's last year to even go there, so that's how this even started. But yeah, the trip overall, the guys' trip, I thought was great. Each year, like the first year was Garrett and I, second year you joined in, third year Travis joined in, so now we're like 4 strong going down there now. We all pretty much like the same stuff. Eating, drinking, smoking cigars, and yes, people. Peter does exercise on trips. I know that's crazy, but my wife does the same thing. I have no idea why. They just it kicks off their day great. Peter is, if anything, he is a man of principle. He will get up and remove himself from the table at around approximately 10 p.m. every night. Alert everyone. He didn't give us an Irish goodbye. He told us he was going to bed, which he got several jeers from the audience. But in normal Peter fashion, he didn't care, and he marched right to his room. So yeah, it was good.
Man of principle. That's what I am.
But yes, we tried. So basically the restaurants we went to were, we get there, we go to Napoleon House, of course. We end up going to Tableau that night. The next day we go to Curio. Then we finish dinner with Restaurant Revolution. And then the final day, what did we do for lunch the final day?
On Tuesday?
Yeah. I don't think we really had a meal together.
No, we went around. Travis and I went to Rouse's.
Yeah, okay. We just sort of grabbed stuff.
Yeah.
And then that night we ended up staying at the going to Old Standard Muriel's. So we've hit Muriel's and Napoleon House, but today we're going to hit our Monday night place, which was Restaurant Revolution. And to set the table, Peter, how we found out about this place is, number one, it is on a lot of lists. If you do like an updated list of like what are the best restaurants in the French Quarter, Restaurant Revolution is named a lot of times. Now, I will say, and I do want to tell everybody that when we do these restaurants, this is not how I normally eat. My bills are not normally 100 plus a head for what per person. I preserve that purely for New Orleans because it's just fun to try it down there. And if you're going to pay, top dollar for a meal, I feel like New Orleans is the place to do it. So Restaurant Revolution is the only one of even past Commander's Palace that says, I think if you go on Google and it says like what's average price or average bill, it's the only one I remember that says 100 plus. Okay. So,
yeah.
And so I knew it was going to be high end. And so last year on the guys trip, we were enjoying a beverage at the Broussard's bar, because that's another restaurant that you wanted to go to because you had at one point worked with a Broussard, right? Correct?
Yeah, I cooked for Baron.
Yeah. So we were there talking to a nice bartender, and I remember we were chatting her up about some of the best places that she eats at. And I forget exactly what she said, but she said something to the point of like, I don't go here often, but in a very special occasion, Restaurant Revolution, which, caused us to look it up, and we saw the menu, and it hadn't changed much as far as just the breadth of how deep this menu is. I mean, I'm sure things like as we found out, there are seasonal menus there, but that is the first time I had heard about it. And it's definitely not one. I mean, I don't know why I haven't heard about it. Maybe it hasn't been around as long as the other things, but man, it was something to behold. Yeah.
A gorgeous restaurant, right? When you walk in, big double doors, and you got your doormen outside, and they escort you into the to the host or hostess, and then the host and hostess takes you through more doors, and it's big rooms, but they're all pocket doored, so they can close off rooms if they need to, and options of how they can get through. And they're in a big courtyard, which I didn't go out in, but I did look out into it, and a beautiful courtyard. They take you and sit you down. This is while it's not one of the old restaurants, they definitely serve classic style. So we had a head waiter, and then an assisting waiter who was also the beverage person, and then a busboy. So three people attending to us.
Yeah.
We had a big table right in the middle of the thing, and as I later said, and really it was about as good fellas as you can get. As we got rather loud.
We did.
The meal went on. Yeah.
We
didn't get kicked out. Got a couple dirty looks. Nobody said anything to us, but it was a good time overall.
That was our friend Garrett. He was actually really loud. Then maybe Travis was second. And believe me, I can get loud, but that night it was them.
Yeah.
But yes, let's talk about when you first walk through the doors. First of all, there's like when you walk through the doors, on the left is the bar, and on the wall is glass cases filled with bourbon and other liquor bottles, spirits bottles over there. And I think with you three guys, I'm like a distant fourth in like bourbon files that you guys are. But like when you're looking at the wall, there was like so many different bottles that you don't see that often. A lot of Pappies, but also we saw ones like the Weller Millennium, and there were so many different liquors there that were. We were just sort of like, man, I wonder how much that costs, because that's what you think now. It's like, how much does a shot or a single or double pour of all these costs? And we soon found out that the Weller Millennium, which none of us had heard of, was $980 for a single pour.
Yep. Yeah, and it was not the only standout in that price range.
No,
like 3 or 4 that there was actually something. I think the Macallan M was 1100 something a shot.
There was cognac, wasn't it? The cognac, one of those. Yeah, there were several that were high, and so we limited ourselves to 2 shots apiece.
Yes,
and no,
all out.
Our bill was only half of 1 shot, really. So that wasn't going to be the answer for the night, but it was impressive to say the least. I mean, look, when you get old like me or you or whatever, it's sort of like it's impressive to see a half-drank bottle of something that costs $980 a shot. It's like looking at a trophy case of wild game or whatever. I enjoyed just seeing it and peering into their liquor cabinet, which was very highfalutin. So.
It was a beautiful presentation. Like if you didn't care about liquor, if you're just white, you wouldn't. It was not in any way ostentatious. It was a very subtle presentation. They just had them over on the wall across from the actual bar, all like kind of backlit. So if you wanted to look at them, you'd see them and you'd be like, oh, just like us, we're like, never heard of that. Oh, I've heard of that. Oh, this is fascinating. Oh, this is an actual house one that they made for them alone. And that would certainly be the type of thing a place like that would get. But yeah, that was great. Just almost like looking at a library.
No, it was funny. Yeah, it was like it was very much library-ish on that end of things. I do want to remind everybody. So, Restaurant Revolution is 777 Bienville Street, which not far from Bourbon and Bienville, not far from GW Finn's, which is also on that same street. So it is in the pretty much the heart of the French Quarter, a little bit towards the canal side. But it's only open for dinner 7 days a week. The dress code is similar to all these level places, like no flip-flops, no ball caps, none of that stuff. But they much like, Peter, maybe you can explain it to me. I guess they just do so much good business. I've never understood like how you can only be open for dinner. I feel the same way about Texas Roadhouse up here. It doesn't matter. I'm just sort of like, it feels like you're missing. I guess they've figured out in their algorithms that having things open for lunch and the amount of people you have to pay is not worth the cost, I guess. So I don't know, but they're only open for dinner, which a lot of them are down there. And I don't know.
It's much more common down there now than it used to be, where you don't, only a handful for lunch. And it seems there's been some formal or informal agreement between all those restaurants about who's open for lunch and who's open for dinner, what days and everything else. And it seems like they're trying not to step on each other's toes, so everybody gets a cut and can stay open. Because you see quite a few down there now that are just open for dinner.
There are, Muriel's. I mean, there's a lot of them. Some open for an occasional brunch, but I didn't see that there. So this is strictly a dinner place. So we get there. Reservations are at 6:00 Monday night. So we get this menu. And well, first of all, we've talked about the staff and like the service is as important down there, and if you critique any of these restaurants ever that we go to, the critique, as we've discussed before, is usually, you're talking about, there's so many great restaurants down there that the expectation and a bar is very high because there's so many great restaurants that you're competing against other restaurants with the same price range. So, you're sort of like, even though I can step back and be like, man, we're being really nitpicky on some things. That's because, man, it is a top shelf place. And if you're trying to get people to come in here, as they told us, the NFL came in and rented out one of their rooms or one of their floors over there for $100,000 for a Super Bowl party. This is a highfalutin place, and you're going to be paying a lot of money for it. So you're going to be judged at a very, a very high level. So, so we get this. So with that in mind, we got a perfect, server for us, which his name was Rory. And he was perfect for this group of four because he knew his stuff. He was very charismatic. He could sell, ice to an Eskimo, I think, as they say. So he was fun to sort of bounce stuff off of. So I thought Rory did a great job.
Yeah, he knew as many. And when I was talking to him, and we were talking about watches and everything else, I was looking at his suit. That suit was tailored. So you got a waiter who's wearing a tailored suit that says something about the expectations of what's going to happen.
I wonder if you have like a dress allowance down there, like, clothing allowance, a dressing allowance, because that is like you expect high level there. And if you're going to be working there 5 days a week, man, that might actually be part of the gig. Who knows? I have no idea. Yeah. But anyway, so we open this. They hand these menus to us. First, we get the drink menus, which the wine list was huge. They had a lot of cocktails, all different kinds of, sort of split up in different, kinds of alcohol. Typical prices for a high restaurant, you're starting at like 13, 14, 15 bucks, going all the way up to, I don't know, 40 bucks for like a reserve old fashioned. So you're going to spend some money if you're going to have several drinks there. And just the food menu though, Peter, was like it was like an atlas. The thing was huge, and it was so hard to pick, which as we'll talk about, a lot of these places that, there's so many restaurants that I've been to that have like a dictionary for a menu, and you're like, man, how can you be a master of all these? You're just master of none usually.
Yeah, I mean the drinks we all got something. I had that gin and tonic, and that was with the base of that was the Hendrick's Orbium gin, which has a very different floral note to it than other gins. Had dried blood orange in it, and some other fruit. Just except perfect for a hot summer New Orleans evening. Travis had that smoky mezcal. And it was a tequila and mezcal blend, and it was
total smoke show. It was
smoky.
called.
Yeah, but mellowed, real nice. Just everybody really enjoyed it. Garrett got a really nice glass of wine, and you had.
Of course, I got a hurricane. Of course,
you had your hurricane. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you stay with rum. We stay with one Stay with one liquor. That's what I've been taught a long time ago.
Yeah,
I should have. If I wanted to drop 40 on the reserve cocktail, though, I would have probably gotten the Tropic Like It's Hot, which has green chartreuse, so rum, lime, citrus shaken, and I would have tried that. But I just didn't want to drop $40 on a drink. That was just me. But I would have tried that. They had some really fun cocktails on their menu. They did.
Yeah, very clearly they thought out their cocktails and their wine list as much as anything on the food list.
They have.
Just very, very well. It wasn't just that the cocktails it was that they were pairing that cocktail menu to the food menu for the summer. And as Rory said that they changed that menu over 4 times a year.
So how you're in the industry, or you were in the industry for years? Like how normal is that? Like how, I've been to some of these places, like we talk about Muriel's, they keep their standard menu pretty much the same through the year. They have a couple substitutions, but they will have special things like the Creole Tomato Fest or, restaurant week, stuff like that. But how normal is it to change 4 times a year to place that level?
If you're changing more than 50% of your menu 4 times a year, that means that pretty much when you're on the winter menu, you're already working on you finished the spring menu and you're working on the summer menu, because you gotta find out if all that stuff's available. All those foods, where are they going to be available? When are they going to be available for the quality you want? You got to test the menus. You got to test the recipes. You got to teach them to everybody, and not just the kitchen staff, but clearly in a place like that, the wait staff has to learn, because they got to be able to sell it. You're going to have a couple that don't go well. You're going to have to throw a couple recipes out and fit something else in. So, I mean, that's a full-time job.
Sure.
Probably 1 or 2 people alone of just coming up with those menus like that. So yeah, that's a big deal that they're doing that 4 times a year. Very commendable.
I mean, it's amazing that they can. I mean, not only is they turning it over that many times seasonally, but they're also like it's just the menu is a mile long, as we'll get to here. But it's like there's so much stuff on here, and I'm sure they keep some of the stuff all year. Some of the stuff like Death by Gumbo, we're going to talk about. I have to talk about. So gumbo and soup, we talked about this, and the gumbo and soup list. They have Louisiana seafood gumbo. They had the Creole snapping turtle soup, the lobster onion bisque, which I thought sounded really good, and then the Death by Gumbo, which is a whole roasted quail, andouille and the rice inside the quail. As you break that open, they bring a little carafe of the filet, the gumbo broth filet, whatever, in there. And I was shocked that you did not get Death by Gumbo, because you've been talking about it for a long time. What made you change your mind?
Just last minute, I was like, I think I want to explore something different. We go round and round about as much as I love gumbo. Just not, just, I don't know. Something at the moment said that I wanted to go with a different option, which looking back on it was the right decision. It's the one thing that while Travis and Garrett got it and they said it was delicious, they said if looking back, they would have picked something else.
Yeah, which is interesting because it is. I mean, I tasted Garrett's, I guess, and like it was good. It was very thick. It was very consistency was gravy like, maybe a little too thick, I thought. But and I like the presentation of the quail and the pouring and the breaking it open and stirring it all together. I think that was cool. But frankly, I didn't get it because I was like, I'm pretty full. I don't really want a quail. I get the lacquered quail for a main course at Commander's, but But yeah, neither one of them were blown away by it. They like you said, they liked it, but they didn't. They will not be getting that next time. I guarantee.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure.
I wonder how, I mean, I know it's kind of one of their famous things, but I wonder if they'll at some point take it off the menu.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, it'd be interesting. And I mean, it's all the, as we said, it's the little details that a restaurant like that does that makes it worth the price that we paid and made the entire experience an experience, not just going to dinner. It's an experience, right? This is multi-hour. They're not working turnover, they're working quality of service. We started with, even before anything happened, they bring out a little amuse-bouche, and it was just a small English cucumber hollowed out into a cup with a crab salad in it. It's just something that they bring out. No, there's no question that's not part of the menu. It's just something that a good quality restaurant like that will do. But I checked the plate they served on ice cold, as it should be. That's a small detail that makes a big difference. That
is cool. That is the only place that really does that. Outside of bread, a lot of places give you bread and butter, whatever. But this place gave you several. First of all, they gave you that, which they called like sort of a palate cleanser, palate opener, whatever.
Yeah.
And that was cool. Like you don't get that everywhere. I don't get that even at Commander's, which I love to death. But then they brought out the bread with 3 different kinds of butter. They had like a little spicy one, a sweet one, and just basic butter. Presentation was awesome. And you're right. You put it perfectly. The difference between this and other places that are relatively the same price range are the details. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it was house-made biscuits and house-made brioche, which brioche is a temperamental dough. And I mean, so that means somebody's job was to make biscuits and bread all day. And they all were exactly the same. And, that the busboy was the one who brought that out. And this is how those kinds of restaurants train people to become, someday he's going to be Rory, right? That kid was probably 18. But he was like, his first step was to explain the 3 butters and the 2 breads, and to serve them well. Serve from the right, pick up from the left. He did everything exactly how he was supposed to do. And so in 2 or 3 years, then he moves up to the next step. And he's making 6 figures in a couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the kind of place you can do it at with the kind of tips you're going to be making on top of your hourly rate or whatever you're going to get paid there. So before we get to your what you chose for your appetizer first course, I chose the NOLA hot crab claws, which I had talked to you about. I wanted some of these crab claws. It seemed like several restaurants have been offering them lately, and I've just never had those down there. So I got those, and they came in a sort of like a 4-inch circle around a little dill, tomato, like lime, salad, cucumber, cabbage. I don't know. And so they were, I don't know, probably a dozen crab claws on there. And essentially you just pick up the hard shell end of the crab and just sort of, bite it out, sort of like an edamame of some sort. You just sort of pull it with your teeth off. And it was, they were great. I mean, they had the cayenne, so it had a little spice, but it was just some like, I don't know, Cajun spice on there. I can't tell you what everything that they just sort of rolled it in before they served it, but they were good, and you got to try them.
They were. Yeah, I tried. You tried one, and I appreciate you letting me try it. And it was the crab. The sweetness of the crab came through and very firm, clearly not overcooked. But that heat of the seasoning that they dusted on it was enough to highlight the sweetness of the crab without overwhelming it. Certainly not anything I would call spicy. And you didn't want anything with it. It was just, those were absolutely delicious.
They were great, and I would get it again tomorrow. You ended up getting Newsom's Country Ham, which on the menu says it's 18-month brown sugar cured ham. And I didn't really know what to expect on that because, of course, ham in the Midwest is thick cut, honey baked ham. So I'm like, what is this going to look like? And it came out and it looks sort of like prosciutto or something like that to me. Mm-hmm. And he said, what did he say to you that sold you on it?
It's the only ham that's recognized
it's like a Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame, yeah, it's a Hall of Fame, but it has to do with prosciutto. So there's the only one that the Italians are recognizing. So country ham is essentially the same curing process as prosciutto, but as most country hams are usually burlap wrapped with either salt and sugar, often where prosciutto is just straight air dried with a salt rub. So you get just that little bit of sweetness. But yeah, I think if you've seen prosciutto, it's same idea. But it was delicious. I mean, they served it with some toasted bread and a very nice like spiced jelly. But I mean, I ate that at the end just to finish off. But I didn't eat anything but the ham just by itself. It was so delicious.
Yeah, it's like you didn't even want to eat the bread, you know. You don't want to like it was so flavorful that and you gave me a piece and it was really good. And next to you was the our other friend Travis got the country pate terrine on top of his gumbo as well. And so that was, as Rory called it, to simplify it to some of us, he said, fancy spam. which is what it did sort of look like that, but it was very good.
Yeah, it was very, very good. That was one of the better treats I've had in a long time. That was definitely classic style, made in a proper mold and let set for a day and everything to settle in and let the gel take place and everything else. So yeah, they did, and those were nice thick slices, and I couldn't quite put everything. There was a sauce under each slice of that terrine, and it was delicious and complimented. It tastes like it had some mustard, but very light. Almost like I almost felt like it was like whipping cream with like mustard in it, just something very light, just to barely accent the richness of the terrine.
Yeah, I was wondering what it was going to taste like because, like you said, it looked like I couldn't tell if it was like some kind of a Dijon or something. I couldn't really tell, and then it didn't really have a really hard bite on it. So I don't know what that was, but at that point, we're already getting not full, but you're like, man, if I keep eating all this great stuff at the beginning, it's gonna be hard to get to the main course. And as I'm scrolling down the menu here before we get to the main courses we got, there's the cheese selection, which you can eat either 2 cheeses, 3 cheeses, or 5 cheeses. And you and Garrett or you and Peter, you and Travis, I forget who was talking about getting that. And I was like, I'll jump in on that because it sounds great. And I can only imagine what the cheese course would be at a place like Restaurant Revolution. So I wanted to try it, but man, I'm glad we didn't because at the end of the time I was pretty full.
That was going to be our dessert in classic French style, to have dessert after, or have the cheese course after. And by the end, all of us were too full. Even for a two selection one.
Oh man, yeah, no, it would have been great though. I'm sure. Yeah. I mean, I want to get that next time we go there. So there's so much to choose from. They have a whole like little section of pasta. They have Gulf and Sea. They had land, air, and game. They had steaks. They had like so many things. So I went boring and I got grilled redfish Bienville, which had a nice little panzanella, Creole tomato side salad. And it was very, very straightforward, but I was pretty full and I just wanted to have something light. And I enjoyed it, but I'm sure like if I was in a different situation, I probably would have been a little bit more adventuresome. But you guys, man, the 3 of you, and it was hard for all 4 of us. We were like looking at this menu for quite a while because it's just so full and so many options. And you're like, well, as with so many places in New Orleans, you're like, man, should I get what I love? Should I try something new? Should I try something super far out there, that you normally wouldn't get in New Orleans? Should I get New Orleans style stuff here more than, what some of you got, like wild game, which of course you can get other places, but you also recognize you're in like a top shelf restaurant here. So it's probably going to be prepared awesome. So you're like, it makes it hard to decide is what I'm getting at. And so what made you ultimately pick your dish? Because I know we were all sort of finding a hard time picking.
For my dish, it was that it is very hard to get rabbit, much less rabbit done well. And that was one of their classic dishes that they really promoted. And I was very happy with my choice on that. It was absolutely delicious. It was, rabbit is essentially a dark meat, and it was rich without being overwhelming. Just subtle sauces, and the sauce on it did not overwhelm the rabbit at all. It just kind of highlighted with the flavor of the rabbit. And it's rabbit you're gonna have to deal with the fact that it's bone in, and there's you can tell what's muscle. So if that's going to bother you, don't get rabbit. And actually Garrett said, well, it was almost seemed to be like a Indian butter sauce or tikka masala inspired sauce with a very French New Orleans influence in that sauce, served over the Carolina style gold rice, and just everything highlighted the other components of the dish, and it was just those three components, and it was absolutely delicious, and I was very full by the end.
So how do you say it? Was it rabbit La Fourche or rabbit La Fourche? Like, I don't know. I forget how they.
La Fouché.
La Fourche. Okay, so I've never had rabbit. I didn't try yours. There was no reason I didn't. I just didn't. It says on the menu it has a Creole tomato gravy, which is what it sort of looked like to me. You know, it had the orangey, orangey reddish tint to it. Carolina gold rice, I've asked since we've gotten home, I've asked several people. I was describing all the dishes we got, and I talked about yours and how everyone at the table really liked your Carolina gold rice. And like no one here has ever heard or had Carolina gold rice. So is that what is this? Is this like a up and coming thing? Is this just something that's only on the East Coast that is now coming over here? I don't know a lot of people that it just sort of, it's usually wild grain, whole, white, brown. I just don't see that often.
Yeah, it's a regional. As far as I know, it's first time I had ever had it. There's a dish that they also have called red rice over there, which is, it just cooks regular whole white rice, like a long grain rice, but it has tomatoes, and it's got a lot of cayenne in it, so it's spicy, and sometimes they'll put like sharp cheddar cheese or such in it. So yeah, that was my first time in gold rice, and it was delicious. It's gold. I mean, that's the color of it. It's not added anything to it. So yeah, I think it's just a lowland rice dish that you find primarily in the Carolinas.
Huh. Yeah, no, I had never seen it before. Our other friend Travis, he ended up going with the duck breast, which came with English peas, spring carrots, and some orange. And I gotta be honest, I've never had duck. He gave me a piece of. He had a nice serving of that, and I had a piece of it. I thought it was good. I don't know. My first taste of it, it was fine. I had nothing wrong with it. It's probably not something I would want to order. But I know you're a big duck guy. Did you taste it? Did you like how they prepared that?
I thought his duck was delicious. I actually was surprised that you'd never had duck at all.
No. This, my family doesn't. They don't dig game. They're not big game eaters, and so I don't have that in general. But the people that don't like duck really don't like duck, so they sort of talk you out of it because they say how greasy and dark meat and all this stuff it is. And you've always said complimentary things about duck, so I don't know. I've just never had it, and it was fine. I'm not a big. I don't like fat and having that as part of the thing. I'm not a good person to tell like a brisket lover that just like loves leaving the fat on there and says that's the best part. That's not what I think, but some people do. So whatever, I thought it was good. But there was definitely nothing wrong with it. But
cooked perfectly, crispy skin. It was a beautiful medium rare. It was great. Beautiful and everything in this. Exceptional presentations.
It was, man. I mean, like you said, the details are everything. Everything was just so. Look, man, like we could talk. We haven't mentioned restaurants that we have not had good experiences at, but the restaurants that I have not had good experiences at, I could obviously learn a thing or two about Restaurant Revolution. I mean, like if you're going to pay this much money for a meal, and I'm not a millionaire, I don't eat like this every day. So when I do it, and I've done it many times in my life at this point now, I can pick out the ones that treat it and you at a higher level. And this was definitely one of those places. And so even in New Orleans, it's got to be, as far as just that, service and food and everything, it's definitely like top three. And you could maybe say, you could argue higher. But but before we get to overall ratings on this, I did want to talk about the dish that I don't know if I'd ever get. I don't know why I say that, because it was good, but I just it's just not something that I would like, that I think about getting in New Orleans. But our friend Garrett, who is definitely a foodie, and he was having a hard time selecting what he wanted because he knew this was going to be good. So it's hard to pick one thing when you know you're at a really good place. But he ended up going with rack of elk, which three of the four of us went on the wild game menu, which I thought was funny because it's obviously not what I consider to be a New Orleans traditional meal, of course. But the rack of elk, man, I didn't know what to expect. And when it came out, there's this 2, 4-inch medallion sized, bigger than that. They're 4-inch with the rib bone still sticking out, 0 fat, cooked it can't be much more than rare. And no fat. And as our friend Travis said, like, it's not like a cow. They do not have lines of fat through the meat. It is just pure meat after you cut the outside layer off of fat. So, man, he cut that, and he cut it for all of us. And of course, like, games can sometimes have that gamey taste. And he cut off that piece for me, and I had it, and it was melt in your mouth, and you would not know. And I would have guessed it was some kind of Wagyu or something. I wouldn't have guessed it was elk. And I thought that was, and it had that rub on the side of it that was like Garrett's called it he called it like a brown sugar chicory marmalade type thing. And man, that was a meal. I know you loved yours too, but that was the meal of the night for me, as far as just not knowing what to expect, seeing it, tasting it, and thinking it was really good.
Oh, I agree. I loved mine. I thought, all the other 3 was all picked great menus. Yours was delicious, very well cooked. Again, presentation. That was a very good piece of fish. But Garrett ended up with the winner of the night, as far as just like, if I had to pick one, his was it, because it wasn't just the elk. It was silky smooth. It was robust flavor. That the rub that was on it balanced it perfectly. The chicory just complemented with that little bit of sweetness from the sugar. But then they adding the
shishito
sauce with the stone fruit gastrique, and then the blistered shishito peppers.
Yeah,
just that was a perfect balance.
It was great. I mean, I was like, he had a really good meal, and like I said, I don't know how many times you've had elk. It's not something that I've even been at a lot of places that offer it, and man, it was really good. You would not have known what it was at all. So. But it was good, and his shishito peppers were great, and I think we were all extremely happy with our meal there. I think for a place that doesn't, I would still say, I always argue my favorite ambiance in New Orleans is Commander's Palace. My favorite meal in New Orleans is usually GW Finn's, and I still probably would hold to that. But I thought Restaurant Revolution is like right there with those two. It doesn't have the mystique of Commander's Palace, and for me, when I'm down there, I'm very much like almost 100% seafood usually. So GW Finn's definitely like is more up my alley as far as just picking all the different kinds of fish and other scallops and other things that I enjoy there. But this, man, for a place, I don't think this gets enough love or attention or on these lists of like top restaurants in the country. This has to be considered, I feel.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, have you had anything else you compare it? What do you compare it to in New Orleans for, like, what is this the best meal you've had in New Orleans ever?
Excluding the Ralph's on the Park, which is a whole nother story that I'll tell sometime as to why that was the greatest night ever, which plays into why it's the greatest meal ever. Excluding that one, I would agree with you that of all the restaurants we've been to a lot down there. It's basically putting it in a 3-way tie with GW Finn's and Commanders, because they're all a little bit different, but the quality in each of those restaurants is exceptional for what they're doing. So they're all a little bit different. So it's hard to put one completely over the other. I'd put Broussard's and Arnaud's up there with them, but they have they're the very old school classic. So if you want the 100-year-old version, you go to those. So they're all just a little bit different. Sure. But just absolutely exceptional.
Yeah. So I'm looking it up. Restaurant Revolutions, it opened in 2012. So it's been around for, a while. Chef John Foles, and I think that's who's still there because they were talking about him there. So, man, he has been his menu is just, I mean, I want to go, I want to check it out every season, just online, even just to see what they change, because it's now that we've experienced this now, it's sort of more fun to go and see what falls off, what's new, what comes back, stuff like that, because it was so memorable of an experience. I love going to restaurants like that with you guys because even though our wives enjoy great meals, and I'm not saying they don't enjoy it just as much as us, obviously there's a level of camaraderie and bullshittingness that is like fun to have, like these, that, I mean, I'm not a foodie anywhere near some of you guys, but to be with that collection of guys at a new restaurant that's high level, it makes it for a really fun experience, because we all just sort of enjoy it to a level that maybe normal people wouldn't, Yeah. So that's why it's fun to do that.
Yeah, and it was it was a Monday night, so it wasn't the busiest night of the week for them, and it was still decent, but it was a big mix of people. There was clearly people there celebrating a couple birthdays and anniversaries, and then there was a couple. Looked like there was 2 couples on dates there, and that's a hell of a first date if that's what it was.
Oh yeah,
see where that was. Either one of those were going. I don't think either of those were. I think they were both probably far down from first dates. But I didn't see anybody who wasn't just having as good of a time as we were. Even though we were by far the loudest, right in the middle of the room.
Well, that was just Garrett, really.
Yes.
But even though you're going for the kill if you're going in. If that's your first date, you're probably just by the ring now,
Yeah.
But yeah, something we didn't bring up is you're talking about just the little extras. They brought us. They asked for the dessert menu, and did anyone get a dessert? Is that where?
No.
Okay, I couldn't remember if that's where Travis got one of his desserts, but that was the night before. So no one got a dessert, but they still bring you a tray of 3 or 4 different kinds of sort of bite-sized desserts, which again is not something you get pretty much anywhere else without paying for it.
Yeah, just a nice little selection of cookies.
They had praline and there was the
praline and a macaron, I think, and a chocolate cinnamon, and all delicious.
It was great. So it was like a nice palate cleanser at the end too. So yeah, man, this is hard to beat this meal. I'd be interested to. I don't know if I want to take my wife there, because then it would be like, what would a bottle of wine cost on top of all of that? So I'm thinking it would. I don't know. I'm not sure if I want to take my wife there, but no, it's a very awesome place. I'm sure we will all take our wives at some point, because it was that exceptional. I do think that it's I would assume. Do you agree it's going to be in our rotation?
Yes. Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
This was your pick, so I mean, this is you stuck your flag in this one. So
I did. I stuck by it, and said we all knew what it was going in. That it was going to be the big one of the trip, and that you're going to drop 100+ per person. So just be ready for that. But absolutely worth it.
Yeah, but if you're talking 100, we basically chopped the meal in half. I think our bill was 4 something. So basically chopped it 4 ways, which was essentially what it is anyway. You're basically getting your own appetizer, your own main course, and a drink or 2, and that's what you're getting. And you know what, down there, pretty normal. And unless you're going for the top end stuff, they had a ribeye on special there for I think $235. They have caviar servings from $110 to $400. I mean, if you want to have an expensive night, you can have a real expensive night there, and it'll be, I'm sure, great. But it was. You
can go down there and just get an ounce of caviar and a cheese course, and still drop $100 a person.
Oh yeah,
and be happy.
Yeah, no, you're right. It was it is that good. But anyway, I think it should be in the rotation going forward, and it sounds like it will. So we had a good time, and I was telling Stacy all about it. I don't know. Obviously my wife's not going to pick off the wild game menu. I guess she'd get something. She would get something from the seafood, I'm sure. But it really has something for everybody. There's pasta, different pastas there and stuff. So it's not, even though you can get pretty eccentric on there as far as like out there, stuff that you can't get anywhere else. But they also have some pretty normal stuff too. So great meal, and I give it top 3 all time. So I think that's where we sit. But in the weeks forward, I know I want to talk about the tableau, of course. We've got, because we do need to talk about it. and also the New Orleans Historic Collection, which was a museum that Errol told us about, who's of course our friend bartender at Fritzl's, but also I've heard other people discuss that for many years because it's a free museum basically that has a lot of information about the history of the French Quarter and New Orleans as a whole, all different social aspects of it, political, territorial, whatever. And you had more time in there than I did, but for something that's free is super nice, and I think you could spend half a day in there if you'd like.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But we will talk about all that stuff going forward. But yeah, another successful guys trip. Had a great time going to Restaurant Revolution. Check it out, 777 Bienville Street. Their website is revolutionnola.com, and check out the menu because it's really interesting, and it's one of the most diverse ones you'll have down there. So, but anyway, we will come back next week with Tableau or the museum or something else from Guys Trip 2025 that we want to discuss. Maybe Justin can come in and be mediator. We'll see if he's back in time for next show. But anyway, for Peter, I am Chris. Thanks for listening to NOLA Outsider, and we will see you next time.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening to the NOLA Outsider podcast. We'd love to hear about your experiences in the greatest city in the world. Email us at outsidernola@gmail.com. Also, check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/NOLA Outsider or visit NOLAOutsider.com. See you next time on NOLA Outsider.